When someone says they're super busy, as a society, we often think, oh, their business is successful, they're booked solid, they're a success. But what if it actually meant something very different? That's exactly what we're talking about in this episode. You're listening to Ariana Rollins, and this is Mindful Manifesting. But before we get into it, if you'd like to give your manifesting journey a kickstart, get our free workbook and meditation at highertrueself.com. Are you super busy? Is your calendar so full there's not much white space for you to just be, just flow with spontaneously what comes to you in the day? Or you have an idea and then you have the time and space to implement it? What if being overly busy was a lack of self-love, self-compassion? I've been there. I remember my calendar. One day I was looking to schedule a client in, and I was sharing my screen. It was a Zoom call. And I was showing her how I manage private clients, how I put in my programs, and how I put in networking. And also I have program creation, admin, things like that. So I color coded everything in Gmail. And I remember when I showed it on the screen, she went, and it was like the shock reverberated through her. She still talks about it to this day. And she said, "There's no space, Ariana. You are so busy." And interestingly, before that moment, I thought being busy was a sense of success or a sign of success. That my calendar was full and I didn't have space to take on new clients. I was too busy. It's quite a program there. And even though I put the busyness in there myself, maybe it was a new program that I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to learn how to do social media and I'm not going to mind it. And so there's all these promises out there of quick and easy solves. And what I've learned, having been in the entrepreneurial game, let's say, because sometimes it can feel like a game that we're not winning. This has been, oh my gosh, is it really 20 years? Yeah, 20 years in 2022. Started in 2002. 2002, right. And what I notice even more is that people in their marketing are trained to focus on the end point of what the person will get, the client. They don't outline all the steps. The steps could be 10 steps, but they focus on the end point. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because it's the promise of what can happen as a result of working with that person or taking that program. But at the unconscious level, what has happened is the client or the prospect does not see the ladder in front of them. They don't see the 10 rungs on the ladder. All they see is where they are right now, and that top rung of the ladder where they're going to be able to make that leap into whatever it is they want. Now, what does that mean to the unconscious mind? Well, it says it's one step. So the person jumps into the program, and all of a sudden the complexity and the multiple steps are revealed. I don't know. Is that honest? Dishonest? I don't know. But at the unconscious level, the person goes into overwhelm. I'll wind back into how being overly busy can be a lack of self-love in just a moment, but let's address this. So now the person has this implied promise. It was one step. That's how I'm going to get there. but now there's really 10 steps. So the overwhelm is kind of like the straw, the last straw that breaks the camel's back. It's a terrible expression, but I think you felt it. I know I have. So what can happen? Say, oh, this program's not going to help me. No, it's not working. It's not working at all. So the eager entrepreneur, that's a great term, right? Eager entrepreneur looks for another program to do their social media and make it fun and easy. And then another one and another one. And all of a sudden they have a bunch of programs they've purchased or books, and they're not applying it. Now here's the thing. Some of those programs may be brilliant, may be exactly what they needed. But the person did not describe adequately enough the multiple steps, the rungs on a ladder to get where they want to go. And so this eager entrepreneur starts it and they get overwhelmed and they stop. How does this wind back into a schedule that has no space? Well, with this eager entrepreneur, they want to help so they could fill their client calendar up with free consultations because they feel so good helping someone. Is that a form of self-love? I don't think so. It's loving others. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, being in service. Not again, not the first time I said that, but loving others is wonderful and it feels good. But what happens if we are loving others more than tuning in and loving ourselves and what we actually need? Over time, you have a busy schedule, and it becomes really hard to take one of those pieces out because we've become invested in it. And the longer we've become invested in it, the more we believe that it will pay off. It's easier to pull out of something, like when you're dating. You've gone on 2 dates, 3 dates. There's not the attachment there yet. There's a hope that it could be something, but then something becomes really obvious, a red flag. It's easier to cut that off, right? Pull the Band-Aid off and say, I don't think we're a fit. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed our time together. Hope you have a great life, and move on. But if it's, instead of 3 dates, it's 3 decades or even 3 years, you pause, don't you? The investment of the time and energy in something makes it hard to pull our power back from that. So what do? I'm going to give you 3 steps that, when I remember to do it, because I don't have this down yet, it works really well. 1, first is tune in, and there is in the free gift that I'll offer you at the end is called a true self grounding. And it's about 4 or 5 minutes. You listen to that before you invest your time, money, resources, energy into something. Listen to that. Get connected with your inner being, your higher self. So you're connected, okay? You're not going to do that driving. You get peaceful, you get calm, and you ask, will this program or book or offering help me? Will it get me the results I'm looking for? You can articulate the results if you want. Okay. You'll start to feel this upward pulling energy, leaning forward, an excitement in the belly maybe, or you'll feel a withdrawal, like a pulling back, a heaviness. That indicates a no. Okay, that's good information. Now say you get a yes and you've got this. Butterflies in the belly. Second question is, do I already have a book or program that will help me solve this problem or get me the results I want? That's an interesting question, right? Because you might have a book on the shelf. You might have a book or a program on your hard drive. Pause. Now you're going to be curious. You're like, how would I know? You'd be surprised and amazed how much your unconscious knows. Stores all of your life experiences, every conversation you've had, every book you've read, every program you've started. Everything's in there. From the moment you took your first breath, or actually before that, in the womb, there's a consciousness. And it's like this magnetic tape, cassette tape. It's recording everything that's ever happened to you. So when you do that true self-grounding, you can tune in to that reservoir of life experience and, might I say, wisdom. Okay, so do I already have a book or program or way to get this help? You might get a yes. It's like, oh. Now, the next step might take a little bit more skill and training, but give it a try. Can you help me find it? Can you help me locate the name? And you might get it instantly. Or you might, over the next few days, find yourself going through your OneDrive, which I was doing this morning. And I was like, I didn't know I did that. That's really good. And my unconscious was pulling that out for me. So, third question. So maybe you've got a yes, okay? That yes, the program's right for you. You have a no on the second one. Third question is the timing right for me to invest my time and energy in it? Is the timing right? And a lot of times you're going to get a no. What do? You pause. It'll come back around. It always does. If you've ever unsubscribed from a newsletter, you find it again. And when the timing's right, then you can say yes. So to recap, the 3 questions. Will this program, book, or offering solve my problem? Will it get me where I want to go? 2, do I already have a book or program that's similar to this that will get me where I want to go? Now again, that second question I'm having you ask doesn't mean it has to solve all of it. But what if it gets you to the first or second rung on the ladder and you're solid on that ladder? You're solid. It's good enough, right? Saves you money, saves you time. You've already got it. Third, is the timing right to invest in this? It could be that you're already committed to another program financially. You haven't paid that off. Or you're already committed to a project that's super important. So this is a way to stop adding more to your calendar. Let's go back to the beginning. Is being overly busy a lack of self-love and self-care? I would categorically say yes. Now, there is an exercise that I teach my clients in the Highest Potential program. It's called Project Inventory Process. And it's a way to make space. Make space for change, make space for transformation, make space to be, make space for self-care and self-love. I know that sounds wishy-washy, but I tell you, you know when you have it. I've got it. I've got that self-care and self-love now. I can't say I always have. In fact, there were many years I didn't. I was giving way, way more. And again, it's not about being in service, because that's wonderful. But it's giving where it doesn't matter. Giving your time and energy into things that may not get you where you want to go. So tapping in to the wisdom, the intelligence, the guidance of your true self, your inner being, can give you time back. And that's really, at the end of the day, all we have. Certain number of years, months, days, hours, and then it's lights out. Where are you investing your time? And is it going to get you where you want to go and what you want? Pause. Check in. Don't just say yes. It might not be a good investment of the most important resource you have, time. So time, where are you putting it? Are you expressing self-care and self-love? If not, I invite invite you to pause, ask those 3 questions. Thanks so much for listening. This is Ariana. Bye for now.